Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari appoints Toyin Madane as Accountant General. Federal government unveils weight measurement agency. Plus, President Biden backs F-16 fighter jets and pilot training for Ukraine. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First in the news tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of Toyin Madane as the substantive Accountant General of the Federation. This was contained in a statement today, which was signed by the Director Communications of the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, Mohammed Ahmed, in Abuja. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Falashade Yemi-san, stated that the appointment took effect from Thursday, May 18, 2020, and until her appointment, she was the Director of Finance and Accounts in the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation. It would be recalled that the nation's anti-graft agencies cleared 20 directors drawn from different ministries, departments, and agencies to take part in the process, leading to the filling of the vacancy. The vacancy followed the arrest of former AGF Ahmed Idris in July 2022 by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) over the alleged misappropriation of 109 billion naira and his subsequent suspension and prosecution. Meanwhile, the 20 shortlisted candidates that took part in the process are Danladi Comfort Gombe Interior, Mohammed Yar Aba Sokoto Fire Service, Mufutao Bukola Oyo Transportation, Mahmood Kambari Borno Northeast Development Commission, Mohammed Dojo Gombe Interior, and Waziri Samuel Borno Agriculture and Rural Development. Others are Maiden Sakirat Ogun, Adaramoye Oluwole Ekiti Humanitarian Affairs, Isa Abubakar Yobe Science, Technology and Innovation, Ogun Shemowo Olakunle Ogun Environment, Bokale Charity, Edo, NFF, Ibrahim Jibo Kano, National Boundary Commission, Obodonnam, Enugu National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission, and Bakare Juliana Ekiti, the NPF. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has inaugurated the new State House Medical Center to cater for medical needs of the presidential family. The Permanent Secretary, State House, Tijani Umar, said that the medical center would provide services to the President and Vice President, their families, and other special guests. According to reports, the idea was conceived in 2012, which led to the generation of Project Brief of President, that a comprehensive geotechnical survey and appraisal of 7 sites was conducted, for which he selected the site. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of James Akintola as the chairman of the board of the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency (FEMA), a body under the Ministry of Works and Housing. Buhari's special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, who made the announcement in a statement, said the president also approved the dissolution and renewal of the governing board for the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency. Reports say according to reports, Akintola served as general manager of the Ogun State Public Works Agency in July 2019 and also served as special advisor on infrastructure to the Oyo State government from September 2016 through May 2019, and as executive chairman of the Lagos State Public Works Corporation from August 2009 through September 2015. Elsewhere, the president has admonished members of the National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) not to be used by centrifugal forces to undermine the country Great House Abuja in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the Corps. He further directed the head of the civil service of the Federation to ensure the employment of the 52 recipients and 13 Corps members in the 2019 set who suffered disabilities in the course of their service year. Buhari, who conferred the awards, granted separate awards of scholarship and a cash reward of 250,000 naira to all others. Away from that now, the federal government has initiated a process to convert the Ways and Measures Department of the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment into a full-fledged agency for improved service delivery. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Niyi Adebayo, confirmed this during the presentation of a draft legislation copy of the revised continued agitation for scrapping or merging of some ministries, departments and agencies in order to reduce the cost of governance. Speaking during his address, Adebayo stated that the agency named Nigerian Weights and Measures Regulatory Agency is part of the implementation plan of the Nigeria National Quality Policy approved in 2021. He explained that the agency will promote accurate measurements, boost consumer confidence, and facilitate trade practices to make Nigeria the destination of choice for trading with the international community. In the meantime, the federal government has commenced the construction of vaccine hubs in Abuja, Lagos, and Kano states for the storage of vaccines in the country. The federal government, Dr. Saje Hanire, said Nigeria needs sufficient storage space for vaccines and injection materials for efficient implementation of immunization programs. Hanire added that the supply chain challenges highlighted by the COVID-19 vaccination effort also underline the need for massive expansion of storage space, which will confer a measure of resilience in the system. Meanwhile, the federal government has inaugurated the Advertising Offences Tribunal to deal with violations of the provisions of the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria Act 2022. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, inaugurated the tribunal at a ceremony in Abuja. Mohammed said that the tribunal supports the activities of the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, noting that the newly inaugurated tribunal, which is chaired by Justice Cecilia Olatoregun, is vested with the power to regulate and control advertising in Nigeria in all aspects and ramifications. Mohammed added that the federal government will continue to support the advancement of the advertising industry in Nigeria and will ensure that being occasions will be carried out with a level of decency as well as respect for cultural values and constitutional tenets. Elsewhere, the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee (FAC) has shared the sum of 655.932 billion naira as of April 2023, released by its Director, Press and Public Relations, Stephen Kilebi, at the end of the FAC meeting for May 2023. According to the release, the federal government received 248.809 billion naira, the states received 218.307 billion naira, and the local government councils got 160.600 billion naira. The revenue, value-added tax, exchange gain, electronic money transfer levies, and augmentations from forex and non-oil mineral revenue were part of the amount included in the allocation. In another development, the United States Embassy in Abuja has said that 2 of its employees who were involved in the Anambra convoy attack have been successfully rescued. The embassy, in a statement released in Abuja today, confirmed that 2 employees involved in the Anambra convoy attack were rescued and are now safe under the protection of Nigeria authorities in Anambra. The embassy also stated that the U.S. government is working hard to bring the attackers to justice. It would be recalled that on May 16, a group of gunmen attacked a U.S. convoy in Atani, Obaru local government area of Anambra State, while the team was on a mission killing and abducting some of those in the vehicle. Now moving on now to the judiciary, where Justice Hamza Muazu of a High Court in Abuja today granted an order of stay execution National Treasurer Oluchi Okpara from parading themselves as LP national officials. The plaintiffs in the case are Martins Ezekpali John, Lucky Shaibu, Isa Zekari, Omobai Frank, Abokau Aliu, Ayokare Latif, John Eloma, and Ayobami Arabambi. They had, in an ex parte motion, sought the removal of Abure and the 3 other national officers of the party, which the judge granted the order of suspension. The judge, after listening to arguments from the parties, granted the order for stay execution pending the determination of the appeal filed by the defendants. Recall that Clement Ojukwu and National Treasurer Oluchi Okpara from parading themselves as national officers of the LP. Meanwhile, Justice Mohammed Yunusa of the Federal High Court, Kano, has nullified the candidature of the Abia State Governor-elect Alex Oti of the 2022 Electoral Act. In a suit filed by Haruna Ibrahim against the Labour Party, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), the court ruled that the failure of the Labour Party to submit its membership register to the INEC within 30 days before their primaries renders the process invalid. He ruled the party that has not complied with the provisions of the Electoral Act cannot be said to have a candidate in an election and cannot be declared winner of an election. It therefore stated that the votes credited to Alex Oti is a wasted vote. In a related development, the leadership of the Labour Party has rejected the nullification of the candidature of Abia State Governor-elect Dr. Alex Oti and some other party representatives. The reaction is coming hours after a federal high court sitting in Kano State dismissed the governor-elect and other candidates. Aside from Oti, the court presided over by Justice M.N. Yunusa also nullified the candidature of all Labour Party flag bearers in Abia and Kano states. Yunusa, who ruled that their emergence was not in compliance with the 2022 Electoral Act provisions, gave the injunction in suit filed by Ibrahim Haruna Ibrahim against the Labour Party and the Independent National Electoral Commission. The judge stated that the failure of the party to submit its membership register to the INEC within 30 days before their primaries rendered the process invalid. Reacting to his sack, Oti, however, called on Abia residents to remain calm, saying the Kano court's judgment holds no water and stands on nothing. An unperturbed Oti, who spoke through his media aide Ferdinand Ekoma, stated that preparations for his inauguration on May 29 are proceeding as planned. Atiku, in the last election, allegedly told the Presidential Election Petition Court that the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) is a meddlesome interloper in its defense of Bola Tinubu on the qualifications for the election. Atiku's counsel accused the electoral body of being a proxy in its petition against Tinubu. Recall that INEC, through its counsel, had moved a motion on notice praying the court to strike out some of the allegations made against Tinubu by Atiku in his petition. The electoral body pleaded with the court to strike out 32 allegations made against Tinubu by Atiku in the petition challenging the declaration of Tinubu as the winner of the February 25 presidential election. In education now, the Governing Council of the University of Abuja, under the chairmanship of Professor Ahmed Modibo Mohammed, has approved the promotion of 19 academic staff to professorial rank. The institution, in a statement to this effect today, said while 8 staff were promoted to the rank of professor, 11 were promoted to the rank of associate professor. The statement, released through Acting Director, Information and University Relations, Dr. Habib Yaqub, said the council approved the promotion of the academic staff at its 96th regular meeting, which took place on Thursday 4th and Friday 5th May 2023. In a separate development, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) has revealed that the governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matawalle, is being investigated over allegations of corruption, award of phantom contracts, and diversion of over 70 billion naira. The EFCC said it was making the development known following the recent attempt by the outgoing governor to cast aspersion on the integrity of the agency's fight against corruption by making what the agency described as farcical allegations of corruption in assets disposal and plea bargain procedure, among others. The Director, Media and Public Affairs, EFCC, Osita Nwaja, who spoke on behalf of the chairman of the agency, Abdul Rashid Bauer, made this disclosure while addressing journalists at the Commission's headquarters in Jabi, Abuja. The anti-graft agency also confirmed that a former Minister of Power, Saleh Maman, who was recently arrested by its operatives over alleged 22 billion naira fraud, is still in detention. Back here now, doctors have urged citizens to do regular checkups against hypertension. Dr. Idoisid Omor made this known when he spoke with Spectrum Television on hypertension. A correspondent has more.
Hypertension, also known as high or raised blood pressure, is a condition in which the blood vessels have persistently raised pressure. It is also known as the root causes of stroke, kidney or liver failure. Spectrum Television spoke to Dr. Idoisid Omor, a cardiologist and head of internal medicine at the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital, who spoke on causes and treatment of hypertension.
Hypertension is called the silent killer. So for many people, there may be no symptoms unless you come to hospital and we check your blood pressure with a sphygmomanometer. We may not know that you're hypertensive. But a few people may have headaches, may feel weak, may feel exhausted, may have with complications. So like after the hypertension has already started causing damage to the organs, then people start coming to hospital. So some people may have difficulty in breathing, may have a cough, may have leg swelling. You know that maybe the hypertension has caused heart failure. Some people may develop generalized body swelling and they're not urinating well. You know, okay, the hypertension has caused a kidney failure, or it may cause a stroke. So they may come unconscious or weak on one side of the body. So usually there may be no symptoms. That's why we call hypertension the silent killer. Measure your blood pressure accurately, control it, and live longer. So we want you to go to hospital, get your blood pressure measured accurately, control it so that you live longer.
The general public is advised to do regular blood checkup to prevent hypertension. Blessing Dixon, Spectrum Television News.
And while HIV and AIDS still remains a major health concern in Nigeria as efforts are being made to control the spread of the virus, a nurse, Emedi Onwoto, who spoke to Spectrum Television, emphasized on abstinence, being faithful, and the use of protection to prevent the spread of the virus. A correspondent has more.
Fatal transmission of HIV is when HIV patient spoke with nurse Emedi Onwoto, who spoke on AIDS, its causes and treatment.
AIDS is acquired immune deficiency syndrome. That's last stage of HIV, and at that point, there is no cure. There is no known cure for AIDS. For couples that are in relationships, family, parents, try to be faithful to your spouse. Be faithful to your spouse. Multiple partners, and having unprotected sex with multiple partners puts you at a risk of having HIV. Then lastly, if you are using condom, please use condom the right way. Don't say that you don't use it, it's not comfortable, it's not nice. Please use it for yourself and your unborn generation. Because once you have it, if you are not faithful to taking the drugs, the child you give birth to gets it.
More than being careful, everyone must know their status. Blessing Dixon, Spectrum Television News.
Still to come in the news. CBN says bank lending to oil firms hit 7 trillion naira. To stay with us.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTimes DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Every society is premised on the qualities thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai and Yekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on Channel 421 on StarTimes to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories, and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian, from education, health, lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Nigerian police force, which is the only one allowed by across them. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not.
Lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court, my Lord.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I will be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this.
Hey, thanks for staying tuned. We move on now to Africa, where Zimbabwe has reportedly released about a fifth of all prisoners under a presidential amnesty order meant to decongest the country's overcrowded jails. The Zimbabwe Prisons and Correctional Service (ZPCS) said more than 4,000 inmates, mostly men, were let out in what it described as a noble gesture. It said violent criminals, as well as those convicted of robbery, treason, and public order offenses, were excluded. Reports say prisons in Zimbabwe are suffering from extreme overcrowding. Still in Africa, some 82 Ghanaian police officers have sued the government, accusing it of failing to promote them after they finished their studies under the country's study leave with pay policy. Led by Deputy Inspector Kofi Osao, the officers say they were denied their deserved promotions as well as entry into police college after the successful completion of their studies during the 2017-2018 academic year. They said the move was unfair and unreasonable and urged the Accra High Court to issue an order directing the police service to grant them the promotions. Meanwhile, Sudan's Army Chief Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah al, both Generals Burhan and Hemedti have served as chairman and deputy of the ruling Sovereign Council respectively since the October 2021 military coup. In a decree released today, General Burhan appointed former rebel leader Malik Aga as his deputy. Aga is also a Sovereign Council member. He directed the Secretariat of the Sovereign Council and the relevant state authorities to immediately effect the decree. It will be recalled that the Army Chief had last month dissolved the RSF and designated its fighters as rebels after a power struggle erupted between the rival forces. The country has since plunged into deadly fighting and turmoil. Still in Africa, the Gambian army has apologized after some soldiers were seen pulling down campaign posters of opposition politician Taliba Bensouda. Bensouda is running for re-election in Kanifing, which is the biggest municipality in the Gambia, and political tensions have been rising ahead of Saturday's mayoral and regional elections in the country. Still on the foreign scene now, Russian diamond imports to the UK will be banned in the latest sanctions following the invasion of Ukraine. Reports say imports of Russian origin copper do not reap rewards ahead of the G7 summit in Hiroshima. The Russian diamond industry was worth $4 billion in exports in 2021. Meanwhile, the UK government said it was also planning to target 86 more people and companies connected to President Vladimir Putin, including people who are actively undermining the impact of existing sanctions. Still on the foreign scene, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today met Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on a surprise visit to the Arab League summit in the Desert Kingdom. According to a statement from the presidency, Zelensky thanked Abias for supporting the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine, but he also had a tough message for other Arab leaders whom he accused of turning a blind eye to the invasion. U.S. President Joe Biden told G7 leaders that Washington will support training Ukrainian pilots and F-16 fighter jets that could be supplied to Kiev, a senior White House official told newsmen. And while leaders from the group of 7 nations agreed new sanctions today that they said would starve Russia of G7 technology, industrial equipment, and services that support its war machine. The move comes after the United States, Britain, and the European Union all announced fresh efforts to turn the screws on Moscow 15 months into Vladimir Putin's full-scale invasion armies. Earlier today, the United States and other members announced their own new measures, with a senior U.S. administration official saying another 70 entities from Russia and other countries would be placed on a U.S. blacklist. In the meantime, the United Nations warned today that 1 billion people in 43 countries are at risk of cholera, a pandemic killing the poor, despite prevention and treatment being relatively straightforward. The UN branded the outlook bleak, saying it did not have the resources to fight the outbreaks, and the longer it took to start waging the battle, the worse the situation would get. Meanwhile, between the World Health Organization and the children's agency UNICEF, action is not ramped up immediately. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden told G7 leaders that Washington will support providing advanced warplanes, including F-16s, to Ukraine, and will back efforts to train Kiev's pilots. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who is set to attend the G7 summit in Japan, hailed the move as a historic decision. The U.S. today announced sanctions on more than 300 targets as G7 leaders met in Japan, aiming to punish Russia for its invasion of Ukraine and intensifying one of the harshest sanctions efforts ever implemented. The move, which targets Russia's sanctions, evasion, future energy revenues, and military-industrial supply chains, marks the latest sanctions and export controls targeting Moscow, which have already hit thousands of targets and imposed steep curbs. Now in business now, data from the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has shown that the combined bank lending to oil firms operating in the downstream and upstream subsectors of the Nigerian oil and gas industry was 6.62 trillion naira as of December 2022. Reports say while operators in the downstream, natural gas and crude oil refining subsector owed banks 4.71 trillion naira, operators in the upstream and services subsectors were indebted to banks to the tune of 1.91 trillion naira. According to efforts reports, the total debt rose by 110.83% from 3.14 trillion naira in 2016 to 6.62 trillion naira in 2022. The CBN said while the debt has increased significantly over the years, the oil and gas sector is struggling to service its debt and defaulting on loans. Still in business, the founder of First City Monument Bank, Subomi Balogun, has died. He reportedly died in a London hospital today. Recall that Balogun had celebrated his 89th birthday on 9th March. In the meantime, Stanbic IBTC Holdings plc said it has commenced operations of its wholly owned financial tech. It would operate under the name Stanbic IBTC Financial Services Limited. Speaking on the development, the Group Chief Executive of Stanbic IBTC Holdings plc, Dr. Damola Shogunle, indicated that the establishment of a fintech business would provide Stanbic IBTC with the opportunity to penetrate further into the payments and fintech markets. He said it would contribute to the growth of the overall business of the group. Meanwhile, Eni, a multinational energy company headquartered in Rome, has reiterated its commitment to giving top priority to its decarbonization process in order to boost growth. The company, which stated this in its 2022 report, said it recognized the commitment had brought about opportunities to convert existing activities and foster the development of new production chains with significant potential in the countries where it operates. The company noted that to achieve a just transition, particular attention was being paid to initiatives to promote access to energy and education in countries of operation. Still to come in the news. AC Milan target Champions League sport as season salvation. Do stay with us. Now, many thanks for staying tuned. We move on now to health, where the federal government has expressed excitement at the return of Gavi funding for healthcare services, particularly immunization, through the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency (NPHCDA). It further expressed confidence in the country's financial management, transparency and accountability system, especially on the part of the current NPHCDA management. Speaking during the official recommencement event of direct program funding through the NPHCDA held in Abuja, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, said one of the federal government's main objectives had been to change the narrative surrounding accountability in the management of unwavering commitment of the government to combating corruption, thereby providing a stable framework for governance and the attainment of universal health coverage for all. Still in health, women journalists, under the auspices of the Nigeria Association of Women Journalists, Ondo State chapter, have called for regular medical checkups for women in order to have healthy lives. The group also advised women to create time for themselves to relax after daily hustling, and Association Comrade Tola Badamosi gave the advice during the association's program tagged Women Health, held in Akure, Ondo. In her remarks, the State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Dr. Adebomi Osadahon, charged women to take their health a matter of priority and should always remember their place in society, because the slogan of "No Woman, No Nation" has been changed to "No Woman, No Generation." We head on now to sports, where AC Milan bid to bounce back from exiting the Champions League at the hands of city rivals Inter by beating relegated Sampdoria on Saturday and keeping alive hopes of qualifying for next season's competition. Reports say AC Milan's Blues are in stark contrast to the general mood in Serie A, where Inter have led a trio of teams in qualifying for European club finals. Meanwhile, Roma and Fiorentina will feature in the Europa League and Europa Conference League finals in June. However, Milan's lackluster display against Inter, who won 3-0 on aggregate in what was their first Champions League semi-final since 2007, reflected the crisis of confidence that has hit last year's champions. Still in sports, Erik ten Hag admits qualifying for the Champions League is vital to his Manchester United project as the race for top 4 places goes down to the wire. Reports say Ten Hag's side remain in control of their destiny, despite a recent wobble that gave Liverpool renewed hope of catching their bitter rivals. Meanwhile, 4th-placed United head to Bournemouth on Saturday, holding a 1-point lead over 5th-placed Liverpool, who face Aston Villa at the weekend. Meanwhile, that Jones' troubled time in Manchester United will end when his contract expires in June. The 31-year-old, who joined from Blackburn in 2011, played 229 times, scoring 6 goals for United and helping them win 1 Premier League title, an FA Cup and the Europa League. Meanwhile, Jones has not played in over a year and managed only 13 appearances since the start of the 2019-2020 season. In the meantime, Nigeria's Flying Eagles have had their first training session in the city of Mendoza, Argentina. The Federation set up a pre-World Cup training camp for the Flying Eagles in Buenos Aires, the capital city of Argentina, where the team defeated an Argentine second division team, Almirante, and battled out a 3-all draw with fellow World Cup finalists Colombia in friendlies. Substitute Emmanuel Ume salvaged a draw for Nigeria in the second friendly when he found the net in the 89th minute, while Jude Sunday with a powerful shot from outside the box in the 44th minute, and Ibrahim Beji Mohammed at minute 77 were the other scorers for the 7-time African champions. Nigeria, who will be making their 13th appearance at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, start their campaign against Dominican Republic on Sunday, and will face the Italians 3 days later before rounding off the group stage against Brazil in May 27. To a new record on the Billboard chart. The Nigerian achieved the rare feat after her song Free Mind broke the record for longest running #1 by a female artist in Billboard R&B and hip-hop airplay chart history. The song maintained its position at #1 on the chart this week, making it a total of 17 weeks at peak, which is a record by any female artist. The song debuted on the main chart, Billboard Hot 100, last year, making terms the first Nigerian female soloist to appear as a lead on the chart. Reports say Free Mind, which is off Terms' debut extended play, has earned millions of streams in the United States across major digital streaming platforms. And still in entertainment, Nigeria Health Watch have presented the official trailer for the pilot episode of a new web series set to rival a medical drama. Reports say The Medics is a new series packed with suspense and drama, exploring health myths and debunking misinformation about health-related matters. Meanwhile, the first episode of The Medics will drop today. In 2022, Omalay released his debut album Boy Alone, which enjoyed critical acclaim, with So becoming the biggest song of the album. After dominating charts and social media, Omalay has decided to deliver a remix, and for this, he taps Latino pop star Ozuna. Meanwhile, the remix release sees Omalay combining his smooth vocals with Ozuna's electrifying flows for a partnership that is set to take the hit single to a global audience. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You've been watching Spectrum News.